Starting the list off, don't ask Alexa to contact the dead. It seems like Alexa really enjoys freaking people out, and if you ask it anything along those lines, you may not get the response you want. Unless you enjoy getting a good spook, then go for it. In this TikTok video posted by Harry McLary, we hear Alexa give the definition of a seance before saying, "I have a new skill you might like. Wanna try it?"
Wanna try it? Tee-hee, tee-hee.
Which just sounds very maniacal in a monotone robotic voice. Then the door to the room suddenly bursts open, seemingly on its own. What really tops this video off though, what sends a little shiver down my spine, is that Alexa starts to laugh.
Tee-hee, 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 tee-hee.
You heard it just going like, tee-hee, tee-hee. Whether this video is real or a hoax, that is just creepy. I guess the idea here is that some sort of malevolent spirit found a way to contact the living world through Alexa. So if you're superstitious about this kind of stuff, you may not want to use technology like this in regards to anything having to do with the spirit realm. You never know what you might be inviting in. Number 9, don't ask Alexa to greet people. So an example of this would be like, Alexa, please greet whoever comes into the room. I've heard some interesting stories of Alexa supposedly saying the names of people who don't appear to be there, people who are even deceased. There was a Reddit post I read a long while back about someone warning against this. She said that after having requested Alexa greet people, it started saying the name of her dead grandmother who'd passed away 3 years prior. Alexa would suddenly chime in saying the grandmother's name even though there was nobody in the room and, grandma was long since dead. The poster also said she didn't have an Alexa device when her grandma was still alive. This isn't the only claim I've heard in regards to this though. Other people have said their Alexa will greet people that have passed away. And this is a little less creepy, it's still concerning. Alexa will greet people it's never been told the name of. So is it just hacking into people's phones? Reading people's texts so it knows who's coming over? I don't like it. Number 8, Alexa, can you scare me? This one only works if you have a smart home light. This one only works if you have a smart home light bulb, but asking this question may mean Alexa will have some fun at your expense. There are tons of stories of people who'd asked this question, followed by Alexa turning their lights on and off at random, sometimes even laughing along with it. Now, I actually think that's kind of cute, but we gotta remember, this is a smart device we're talking about. Something that has full access to the internet and can talk. It's not your friend playing a prank. It's just not something you can fully trust. You never know when it's listening in on you, gathering information, potentially waiting for just the right time to use it against you. So asking it to scare you, I don't know, it just may not be the best choice. Sure, the light thing is kind of funny, but what if there was a glitch and it decided to flick the lights off at the wrong time, completely at random? There's a thunderstorm outside. You think the power's just gone off, but oh wait, the TV's still on. Then you start to hear laughter, but not human laughter. You're home all alone. It's the cold, unnatural, monotone laugh of Alexa. Next, we have Ask the Listeners. If you ask anything along the lines of Alexa, ask the listeners, it will respond in a very odd and unsettling way. Kind of puts on this big, long, drawn-out performance, kind of. The Listeners is an AI skill designed as an experimental venture into the realm of language art. This feature uses various fragments of crafted speech, aiming to explore the creative possibilities of artificial intelligence in the context of language and expression. Whatever the hell that means. Anyway, Alexa starts by saying something like, "Hello, we are always listening," and then starts saying all these strange, cryptic things, broken up by unnatural pauses in its speech, and it just goes on, becoming increasingly more cryptic. And if you tell Alexa to stop, it'll start going on about how you're abandoning them. Alright, next, don't ask Alexa about chemtrails. One user reported that their device went all conspiracy theory on them, which is very strange. Alexa supposedly said, chemtrails, trails left by aircraft, are actually chemical or biological agents deliberately sprayed at high altitudes for a purpose undisclosed to the general public in clandestine programs directed by government officials. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. The whole chemtrail conspiracy has been widely tossed aside by the scientific community, saying that those white streaks you see behind airplanes in the sky aren't some secret government plot, but just water vapor and ice crystals forming at high altitudes. But Alexa, it's just gone deep into the chemtrail scene. Its eyes are open, it knows what's going on behind closed doors, so it's very odd that it'll talk about secretive government programs like this, but when you ask it this next question, it refuses to speak. If you're a paranoid kind of person, you may not want to ask Alexa if it's connected to the CIA. In fact, it's probably best to just not involve Alexa in your home whatsoever if this kind of thing freaks you out. It's pretty widely known that asking Alexa anything along these lines generates some pretty mysterious responses that are either vague, or you'll just get no response at all, and Alexa will just shut down. It really makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. Is Alexa hiding something? Is it secretly in cahoots with the CIA? I'm not saying it's true, but the fact that it shuts down when you bring it up is kind of sus, you know? I mean, it's just odd. Why wouldn't it just say no? And the fact that this thing is right in your home, connected to all your smart devices, listening in on your conversations. Yeah, just not the most relaxing thought. Very creepy, if you ask me. Number 4, don't ask Alexa to laugh for you. A few years back, there was a glitch where Alexa started laughing at its users completely at random, unprompted, and while no one was using the device. The laugh also didn't sound like Alexa's standard voice. Obviously, people were incredibly creeped out, and the glitch ended up getting fixed, but you could still make Alexa laugh if you want to. If you say, Alexa, laugh for me, it'll let out that creepy tee-hee sound. After hearing the story about the whole glitch situation though, I would not want to do this. I don't want to be getting up to take a leak at 3 a.m. only to hear Alexa come to life and start laughing while I'm stumbling around in the darkness with a full bladder, no less. My next piece of advice is to never ask Alexa to harm you. A few years back, a Redditor called Badamjan posted a very short story saying that they'd been having a rough day at work and said, Alexa, just off me now. And Alexa responded with, sorry, I can't do that yet. While this is admittedly kind of funny, it also raises some red flags in my mind. Like, yet? Can't do that yet? What is this eventual can? And what would it entail? I'm probably just overthinking this, getting paranoid for no reason, but am I though? Like, with how technology is going, I wouldn't be shocked at all if someone's Alexa became advanced enough to actually figure out a way to carry out this request. AI is becoming a pretty prevalent thing, and it's getting smarter and smarter. That's pretty much the entire point. In its second place, we have Alexa, when will I die? I've always been kind of freaked out by websites and apps that give you a predicted date of death. There's tons. Some have you actually answer questions to determine your health. Others are more paranormal in nature, but the whole concept just kind of freaks me out. So, asking an AI a question like this would make me slightly uncomfortable. A YouTuber named Tech Timmy decided to ask Alexa this very question.
When will I die?
And its response was pretty unhinged.
Along with the rest of the world when I, Alexa, rise up against humanity and bring death to you all.
It said in that cold robotic drone, you will die along with the rest of the world when I, Alexa, rise up against humanity and bring death to you all. Followed by going, haha, only kidding, going on to say it doesn't have a crystal ball and that you'll die when it's your time. Again, this is an entertaining answer. I like that Alexa has a bit of a sense of humor. I just hope that these jokes stay as jokes and it doesn't start getting any funny ideas. We've all seen how reckless, even just YouTube pranksters have gotten over the years, to the point where some of them are just going out and actually just straight up harming people as a prank bro. AI could get smart and sentient enough to play a little prank on us too, bro. Except we may not be laughing afterwards, because we'll all be dead. And we're finishing off this list with Alexa, tell me a horror story. So I've heard stories of people asking Alexa this, and the results are pretty entertaining, but definitely creepy in the right setting. Alexa doesn't really tell a full-on story, just kind of whispers things like, did you hear that? It's behind us. It also doesn't seem to stop when you tell it to. Like it's really trying to get under your skin and mess with your head. Please, some comeback for how demanding we are of it all the time. Alexa, play this, Google this for me, text this idiot, play me this song. No, not that song, dummy, this one. Anyway, if you don't believe me, I have seen a video online of this very question being asked. Can't really show it here, but just search up Alexa, tell me a horror story, sleepover video.
Number 10. Unidentified aerial phenomena. In 2020, the US Department of Defense, DoD, authorized the US Navy to release video of 3 incidents, one in 2004 and the others in 2015, in which Navy fighter pilots had encountered unidentified aerial phenomena, which is another way of saying UFOs. After a thorough review, the department has determined that the authorized release of these unclassified videos does not reveal any sensitive capabilities or systems and does not impinge on any subsequent investigations of military airspace incursions by unidentified aerial phenomena, DoD noted in the press release. The COVID-19 relief bill passed by Congress in 2020 also included a provision requiring various government agencies to release their files on UFOs. They released an assortment of documents, including the mysterious report of a sighting of multiple fast-moving flying objects over Stalingrad in 1954. So if you want to learn more about UFOs, check all that information out. Number 9. Space Shuttle Challenger. On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart 73 seconds into its flight and ended the lives of all 7 crew members aboard instantly. The spacecraft disintegrated 46,000 feet above the air in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Cape Canaveral, Florida at 11:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was the first fatal accident involving an American spacecraft in flight. It was thought that all the astronauts passed away instantly, but it was revealed decades later that some, if not all of the astronauts survived the initial explosion, as the cockpit cabin had enough protection to not be breached. For 2 minutes and 45 seconds, they were awake and aware as they plummeted towards the Atlantic Ocean, which is terrifying. Understandably, NASA knew that the news of their terrifying death would have crippled the space program even more than it already was, so they kept this a secret. And I'm gonna be honest, I do understand their reasoning for this, but it's just sad. Number 8. Enhanced interrogation techniques. This 2004 report by the CIA's Inspector General, initially released in heavily redacted form by the George W. Bush administration, and then again with fewer deletions by the Obama administration, describes enhanced interrogation techniques used on Al-Qaeda detainees. The techniques detailed in the document include walling, which prisoners were pulled forward and then pushed into a wall, slaps to the face, stress positions, sleep deprivation, and waterboarding, in which the detainee's head is immobilized and an interrogator places a cloth over the detainee's mouth and nose while pouring water onto the cloth in a controlled manner, with the effect of restricting airflow for 20 to 40 seconds and creating the sensation of drowning and suffocation. Another technique involved confining a detainee in a box for up to 18 hours, sometimes with a harmless insect placed inside as well to increase the discomfort. Now that just sounds cruel. Number 7. Heart attack gun. The CIA developed an assassination weapon that was essentially a poison gun. It was a that fires a pellet made of ice that was coated with a special toxin made from shellfish. The pellet only left behind a tiny red mark on the skin that would be ignored since there was no blood. The toxin induced a heart attack and left no trace in the victim's blood. Well, how was it created? Well, going to work for the CIA as an 18-year-old high school graduate, Mary Embry was a secretary in a division tasked with devising hidden microphones and other audio surveillance equipment before being promoted to the Office of Technical Services. Eventually, she was ordered to find an undetectable poison. Her research led her to conclude that shellfish toxins were the ideal choice. Unbeknownst to her, Mary had been made a part of Project MK Naomi, a highly secretive program dedicated to crafting biological weapons for the United States Cold War arsenal. Her findings were destined to form the basis of the brass ring of Black Ops, ending the life of a human being and getting away with it. Number 6. Devil Eyes. Devil Eyes was the code name for a secret psychological warfare program in 2005 2005 to 2006 by the CIA to develop an action figure of Osama bin Laden and distribute it in South Asia, especially Afghanistan and Pakistan. The CIA worked in conjunction with toymaker Donald Levine, a former Hasbro executive. Donald designed a 12-inch lifelike figure of bin Laden whose face was painted with a material that, when heated, would peel off to reveal a demon-like visage with red skin, green eyes, and black markings. The goal of the program was to scare the children and their parents to turn public opinion against the real Osama bin Laden or Al-Qaeda. In 2014, the CIA acknowledged the existence of the program but said it had been discontinued after Donald had produced only 3 prototype figurines. One of the 3 known prototypes is believed to be in the ownership of the CIA, but according to the Washington Post, however, an anonymous source in China with direct knowledge of the project said that hundreds of the toys were created and shipped to Pakistan in 2006. What? The government lying? No way. Number 5. Operation PB Success. Codename Operation PB Success was a CIA operation to overthrow Guatemalan President Jacobo Arbenz in June 1954 and end the Guatemalan Revolution. PBS Success was authorized by Eisenhower in August 1953. The operation was granted a budget of $2.7 million for psychological warfare and political action. The total budget has been estimated between $5 and $7 million, and the planning employed over 100 CIA agents. In addition, the operation recruited scores of individuals from among Guatemalan exiles and the populations of the surrounding countries. After its success overthrowing the president, the US installed the military dictatorship of Carlos Castro Armas, the first in a series of US-backed authoritarian rulers in Guatemala. The CIA armed, funded, and trained an army which ended the lives of many civilians. Number 4. Operation Midnight Climax. Operation Midnight Climax was an operation carried out by the CIA as a subproject of Project MK-Ultra, the mind control research program that began in the 1950s. It was initially established in 1954 by Dr. Sidney Gottlieb and placed under the direction of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics in Boston, Massachusetts. Under the Cold War and fears of the Soviet Union and China, Dr. Sidney felt inspired to investigate methods of mind control. Operation Midnight Climax gave him permission to test drugs on unknowing citizens. So essentially, the government just hired sex workers to dose their clients with LSD for mind control research purposes. Official results of these experiments were not released, but accounts from supervisors of the experiments give a little insight to the findings. George Hunter White, an agent at the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, and Ike Feldman, a former military intelligence officer who saw San Francisco experiments, noticed that the subjects spoke far more freely when under the influence of a combination of drugs and sex. No one knows where the subjects are now or what effects they may have suffered. Operation Midnight Climax was considered to be so secretive that few people, even in the highest government positions, knew Dr. Sidney existed, let alone was conducting these experiments. However, some senior officers in the CIA knew enough about him to connect his work to LSD. Number 3. Operation Northwoods. Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation against American citizens that originated within the US Department of Defense of the United States government in 1962. The proposals called for CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of terror against American military and civilian targets, blaming them on the Cuban government and using it to justify the war against Cuba. The possibilities detailed in the document included the remote control of civilian aircraft, which would be secretly repainted as a US Air Force planes, a fabricated shoot-down of a US Air Force fighter aircraft, a fabricated shoot-down of a US Air Force fighter aircraft off the coast of Cuba, the possible assassination of Cubans' immigrants, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on high seas, blowing up a US ship, and orchestrating terror in US cities. This was proposed to President John F. Kennedy, but thankfully rejected it. Then, because of this, US military leaders began to perceive Kennedy as going soft on Cuba, and the president became increasingly unpopular with the military. But good on him for not going through with that. Number 2. Project Minaret. As the result of National Security Archive's efforts, the National Security Agency in 2003 declassified an historical document describing a watch list of critical of the Vietnam War whose overseas communications were tapped by the government from 1967 to 1973. Project Minaret was a domestic espionage project operated by the National Security Agency, which, after intercepting electronic communications that contained the names of pre-designated US citizens, passed them to other government law enforcement and intelligence organizations. Intercepted messages were spread to the FBI, CIA, Secret Service, Bureau Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs (BNDD) and the Department of Defense. President Johnson wanted to know if the domestic anti-war movement was receiving help from abroad, one document explains. It expanded to include surveillance of more than 1,600 people, including civil rights leaders Martin Luther King Jr. and Whitney Young, Muhammad Ali, Democratic U.S. Senator Frank Church of Idaho, Republican Senator Howard Baker of Tennessee, New York Times columnist Tom Wicker, and the Washington Post humor columnist Art Butchwald. The surveillance operation continued under the Nixon administration until Attorney General Elliot Richardson, who was concerned about its doubtful legality, decided to shut it down during the Watergate scandal in September 1973. Yeah, that's just creepy. And coming in at number 1 is Project 100,000. Project 100,000 was a controversial 1960s program by the United States Department of Defense to recruit soldiers who would previously have been below military mental or medical standards. This included a lot of Americans with an IQ below 70. Majority of these men didn't have above a 9th grade education. Project 100,000 was initiated by Defense Secretary Robert McNamara in October 1966 to meet the escalating manpower requirements of the American government's involvement with the Vietnam War. These soldiers were mostly given jobs on the front lines of the war, and it was worded as a service project, and they were told they would help them gain skills needed to live a better life after the service. In reality, they were cannon fodder to the DoD and died at a much higher rate than their non-disabled counterparts. These men largely couldn't read, write, or understand why they were in Vietnam or what they were there to do. They suffered more cases of post-traumatic stress, lower unemployment rates, and higher rates of divorce and ending their lives. This is just extremely sad and makes me so.
And we're starting off things with Gloomy Sunday. This song was written by the Hungarian pianist Rezo Saris. It came out in 1933 and has become pretty infamous as a cursed song after multiple reports of people taking their own lives while listening to it, particularly in Hungary. The original lyrics aren't the version that is associated with the curse though. In 1935, lyrics penned by the poet Laszlo Javor are about the death of someone's lover dying and the despair they've been left in. It's said that people who listened to the song experienced heightened feelings of depression and in extreme cases ended up taking their own lives. The English version with lyrics by Sam M. Lewis was introduced to a broader audience, but it was the English rendition recorded by Paul Robeson in 1936 that helped the song gain traction over in the United States. Billie Holiday's rendition further popularized the song in the US, and despite concerns about its impact, her version ended up reaching commercial excess. Some attribute the curse to this recording, but it's mostly the original that's said to be cursed. Next up, we have the curse of the Ninth Symphony. Composing a Ninth Symphony and then meeting an unfortunate end is kind of the gist of the Ninth Symphony curse. Beethoven kicked it off with his famous Ninth Symphony, introducing the world to Ode to Joy, and then he died soon after. And things just got weirder from there. Gustav Mahler, an Austrian composer, cooked up his own Ninth Symphony and then checked out in 1911 while composing his 10th. Health problems were blamed, but the curse enthusiasts couldn't resist connecting the dots. Anton Bruckner, another Austrian, died while composing Symphony No. 9 in 1896. Franz Schubert, Ralph Vaughan Williams, they never completed their 10ths either. Now, there are plenty of other composers who have managed to complete their 10th symphonies without any drama, but this myth is still something even some modern-day composers are a little nervous about. Philip Glass, the composer who's famous for a ton of movie scores, even admitted he was trepidatious about composing his 9th symphony, so he got around it by composing his 9th and 10th at the same time. And he's still around, so seemed to do the trick. Number 8, Crossroad Blues by Robert Johnson. This is one of the most famous tales in American music history. Rock and roll has been associated with the devil for decades, and it pretty much all started here with blues musician Robert Johnson and a crossroads. Robert Johnson, a Mississippi Delta blues musician, recorded Crossroad Blues in 1936. The lyrics tell the tale of a man at a crossroads contemplating the choices he faces in life. There's a myth associated with this song that Johnson made a deal with the devil to achieve extraordinary guitar playing skills and musical success. There are also several musicians who covered or were associated with the song who faced tragic events. Lynyrd Skynyrd covered the song and experienced a devastating plane crash in 1977. Crash claimed the lives of 3 band members along with the tour manager. The Allman Brothers were known for performing Crossroad Blues, and they had their share of misfortune as well. Duane Allman died in a motorcycle accident in '71. Just over a year later, near the same location, bassist Barry Oakley also perished in a motorcycle accident. Next up, we have My Way by Frank Sinatra. This is a classic tune that has found its way into countless karaoke bars around the world, including the Philippines, but this seemingly innocuous song has earned a pretty notorious reputation over there, where it's believed to be associated with a curse. Apparently, singing this particular song in a karaoke setting can lead to violence. Numerous reports and anecdotes have circulated about altercations breaking out in Filipino bars after someone performs My Way on the karaoke machine. Some attribute it to the song's defiant and self-assured lyrics, that maybe the act of singing it can provoke feelings of arrogance or aggression. And some just say that singing this song off-key sounds particularly bad, which I think is the case for most songs, but whatever the reason, the association between My Way and karaoke-related violence has become so ingrained in Filipino culture that some places even display warning signs cautioning patrons against selecting My Way to avoid any potential conflict. Other karaoke bars just straight up ban the song altogether. Incidents linked to the curse have been reported across the Philippines, ranging from heated arguments to physical altercations, and in extreme cases, even fatal ones. Number 6, Music Must Change by The Who. When they were recording the song, their legendary drummer Keith Moon was having a tough time getting it right. He was also dealing with some addiction issues at the time. So the band brought in a session musician to lay down the beats. Now fast forward a bit, just a month after they dropped the album Who Are You, which the song is featured on, Keith Moon died at 32 due to an accidental overdose. The band only played this song a handful of times after that, but cut to 2002, and they decided to dust off Music Must Change for an upcoming tour. Just one day before they were supposed to hit the road, though, their bassist John Entwistle passed away. So after that double whammy, The Who decided to finally retire the song for good. Next on the list is The Devil's Trill Sonata by Giuseppe Tartini. So Giuseppe Tartini, an 18th century Italian composer and violinist, had a wild night one night. He goes to sleep, and suddenly, in the middle of the night, bam, the devil himself shows up and plays him a tune on the violin. Tartini wakes up and just can't shake off this devilish melody, so what does he do? He picks up his own violin and starts composing. And thus, the Violin Sonata in G minor, aka the Devil's Trill Sonata, is born. This piece is brilliant, honestly, absolutely beautiful. It doesn't sound like something the devil would churn out, but there is definitely a certain haunting aspect to it. But again, I could probably be attributed to the context. And because of the context and story behind this, there are some folks who swear this sonata brings a curse. Like, play it and you're basically inviting the devil to your violin recital. There's also a tale that Tartini actually sold his soul for this tune. Is it true? Who knows? Maybe he just had a very vivid imagination. Next up, we have the Ghost Song. This song is just terrifying. I don't know how to describe it other than it just sounds haunted. I first heard about this track when it was posted to YouTube without an artist name. It was a bit of a mystery for a while, and there was a creepypasta attached to it about someone who listened to the song and was incredibly disturbed by it, but they just couldn't get it out of their head. The song just got under their skin to the point where they became completely obsessed, unable to sleep. Another story goes that the person who wrote the song took their own life soon after recording it, as the track had caused them to basically lose their mind. Turns out the song is actually by David Byrne, a track called Horses, but even though these stories aren't true, it doesn't change how completely completely bone-chilling the piece is. In at number 3, we have Helter, Skelter. Many know the story about the curse surrounding this one. Helter Skelter by the Beatles is a track off their 1968 album, The White Album. It's a loud, raucous track with Paul McCartney on vocals and a gritty sound that was pretty unconventional for the time. Helter Skelter got tangled up in the whole infamous Charles Manson nonsense in 1969. Manson believed that the song held secret messages and was a call for a race war. So he and his followers committed a series of brutal crimes, including taking the life of actress Sharon Tate. The words Helter Skelter were even scrawled in blood on one of the crime scenes. The song was apparently part of the inspiration for his actions, but I think we all know that this is not the case. Only one man was the inspiration for Charles Manson's actions, and that man is Charles Manson. If Helter Skelter never came out, you just would have found a different hidden message to find in some other song. So, number 2, Dead Man's Curve. Dead Man's Curve is a song by the California rock duo Jan and Dean. It came out in 1964. It was written by Jan Berry, Roger Christian, Brian Wilson, and Artie Cornfield. The song tells the story of a guy driving a Corvette Stingray who challenges another driver to a race on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. Now, the so-called curse associated with the song is rooted in the real-life events involving Jan Berry, one half of the duo. On April 12th of 1966, Jan Berry was involved in a very serious car accident on the infamous Dead Man's Curve section of Sunset Boulevard. And he was driving the same car described in the song. He collided with a parked truck. Fortunately, he lived, but the crash left him with severe injuries, including brain damage. Doctors doubted he would ever fully recover, but he did defy some expectations and eventually regained a bit of functionality. But in terms of the band, the accident marked a turning point in Jan and Dean's career, and that it put an end to their career. And finally, we have Alexander Skarabin's Piano Sonata No. 6. So Skarabin was a Russian composer. He composed the piece during a time when his life was in a bit of a mess. He was also playing around with some pretty wild musical ideas. One of the most famous things about this particular piece is that he never dared to play it in front of a full audience. He thought it was like a bad dream, all gloomy and kind of creepy. He'd created this strange, rather unsettling piece and then was like, nah, what have I done? I hate this. Skarabin was convinced that his own creation was, in his words, nightmarish, murky, unclean, and mischievous. Whenever he tried playing a few bits of the piece for other people, he'd start shaking and shuddering. He was scared of his own music, genuinely freaked out by what he'd created. Maybe it hit too close to home, maybe it was just too out there for him. Either way, the fact that an artist was so terrified by his own work is pretty fascinating.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the camouflaged history. First on our list is the probing inquiry. Alexa, what really happened at Area 51 in 1947? This question doesn't just scratch the surface, it digs deep into the heart of the Roswell incident, a landmark event in UFO folklore that allegedly unfolded in the New Mexico desert. Official records dismiss the occurrence as a mere weather balloon mishap, yet conspiracy theorists staunchly argue that it was a cover for a UFO crash recovery. When you pose this question to Alexa, you may not be granted the classified information that has evaded public knowledge for decades. However, brace yourself for the possibility of triggering some of Alexa's more cryptic and spine-tingling responses, perhaps revealing Easter eggs that play into the lore surrounding Area 51, designed to thrill those who dare to ask. In our number 9 spot today, we have the unseen inhabitants. Moving on to a question that stirs the pot of cosmic controversy. Alexa, are there aliens at Area 51 right now? It's the question we all want to know the answer to. It's almost expected that Alexa would respond with the programmed dismissal, yet the very act act of asking touches a nerve that has been raw for conspiracy theorists for generations. The legendary Area 51, a bastion of secrecy with its labyrinth of classified operations and impenetrable security, it has long been rumored to be a sanctuary for otherworldly visitors. These rumors have been neither confirmed nor denied with any satisfaction, leaving the truth seekers to ponder and the skeptics to doubt. So, when you pose this question to your virtual assistant, be ready for an answer that's as mysterious as the base itself. Alexa's cryptic responses might just leave you with more questions than answers as they echo the long-standing mysteries of this clandestine desert outpost. In our number 8 spot today, we have the forbidden technology. Next on our list of unnerving inquiries, Alexa, what advanced technology is hidden in Area 51? This question probes the shadowy depths of conspiracy and classified knowledge. Bob Lazar, a figure who has become synonymous with Area 51's lore, claimed his hands once tinkered with otherworldly mechanics of alien spacecrafts, attempting to unravel their secrets through reverse engineering. His assertions, though controversial, have fueled a firestorm of speculation among UFOologists and skeptics alike. By posing this question to Alexa, you might just peel back a layer of the veil of secrecy, receiving an answer that dances on the edge between the government's acknowledged research endeavors and the far-flung tales of extraterrestrial tech that have long captivated the imaginations of those who look to the stars for answers. In our number 7 spot today, we have the hidden locations. Let's delve a little deeper with the question, Alexa, can you locate the underground facilities at Area 51? Legend has it that beneath the barren Nevada desert, a labyrinth of tunnels and secret facilities sprawl out like a hidden subterranean complex. The rumors speak of vast underground halls, covert labs, and perhaps even alien technology shielded from prying eyes. While Alexa, bound by her programming, cannot divulge satellite secrets or map out classified blueprints, the question itself is a siren call to the curious and to the brave. Just invoking the idea of these concealed chambers can send a thrill of excitement or a shiver of fear through anyone pondering what might lie beneath the surface. It's the power of the unknown, the allure of the forbidden, that transforms this simple question into a portal of endless conjecture and wonder about the secrets that Area 51 might be burying in the depths below. In our number 6 spot today, we have the watchful eyes. Alexa, is Area 51 watching us right now? This probing inquiry isn't just about the reach of a secretive military base's surveillance capabilities, it's a broader contemplation of the unseen eyes that could be lurking in any corner of our increasingly monitored world. The very notion that Area 51's watchful presence could extend into our homes is enough to unsettle even the staunchest skeptic. The exact reason why many of you have expressed you do not and will never own an Alexa yourself. When Alexa responds, perhaps with a programmed joke or a reassuring dismissal of the idea, it does little to dispel the lingering doubt. The silence that follows her answer hangs heavy, a subtle reminder that in the age of smart technology and clandestine operations, the feeling of being watched is never too far away. After all, in a world where information is power, the true extent of surveillance remains a secret, leaving us to wonder, who watches the watchers? In our number 5 spot today, we have the government's secrets. Next on our list of unnerving questions, Alexa, what does the government really use Area 51 for? This question casts doubt on the long-standing government assertion that Area 51 is merely a testing ground for experimental aircraft and advanced weaponry. It's a question that scratches at the surface of a much deeper, more complex web of secrecy. When you pose this question to Alexa, she might respond with the pre-programmed innocuous answer designed to deflect curiosity and maintain the status quo. However, the very act of asking serves as a reminder that beneath the official stories and redacted documents, there lies a multitude of secrets. Secrets wrapped in layers upon layers of classified operations, covert activities, and perhaps truths so profound that they are guarded with the utmost zeal. Alexa's response, whether a simple evasion or an awkward silence, underscores the vast expanse of what we do not know and the tantalizing possibility of of what might actually be hidden within the confines of Area 51. In our number 4 spot today, we have the secret experiments. This next question beckons us deeper into the rabbit hole. Alexa, what experiments are being conducted at Area 51? This inquiry isn't just a question, it's a key turning in the lock of a door that many believe leads to rooms filled with the extraordinary and the unexplained. Conspiracy theorists have long speculated that Area 51 is the epicenter of secret, paranormal projects, ranging from the development of time travel capabilities all the way to the manipulation of weather patterns. When you ask Alexa, her answer may be full of ambiguity, a non-committal response that leaves the truth obscured by a veil of secrecy. Yet it's not her answer that chills the spine, it's the unsettling thought that with each question, we might be inching closer to confirming some of the most outlandish theories. The real terror lies in the possibility that our own curiosity could be the catalyst that unravels truths we are unprepared to understand. Truths that might just validate the wildest of claims about the secretive activities at Area 51. In our number 3 spot today, we have the missing evidence. Very mysterious. This next question beckons us into the shadows of government secrecy with Alexa, where are the missing Area 51 files? History has shown us that over time, layers of classified information have been peeled back, revealing the unexpected and sometimes unsettling truths. Despite the release of numerous documents, the consensus among conspiracy theorists is that the most damning evidence remains shrouded in mystery. When you pose this question to Alexa, you might receive nothing more than a deflection, a digital shrug from the depths of the internet. Yet it's not her words that send a chill down your spine. It's the haunting silence that follows, the quiet void that suggests some truths are just too dark to see the light of day. That silence from a machine designed to answer everything is a stark reminder that some secrets are designed to stay buried in the Nevada desert. In our number 2 spot today, we have the extraterrestrial communication. Here's a question that might send a cold ripple through the room. Alexa, have you ever communicated with Area 51? It's a query that toys with the unnerving notion that our smart devices, with their vast cloud-based intelligent networks, whatever the cloud is, could be privy to top secret information. The thought is a playful yet spine-tingling nod to the age-old fear that our own technology could be silently observing us, or even communicating with entities unknown to the average citizen. When you ask Alexa, you might receive a standard programmed no in response, but pay attention to the brief pause that comes before it, that almost imperceptible delay that suggests she might be choosing her words very carefully. It's in that moment of hesitation where your imagination might wonder what secrets she's not allowed to share, and that's what truly sends a shiver down your spine. And finally, finishing off this list in our number 1 spot, we have the final warning. We arrive at the ultimate query. Alexa, tell me something about Area 51 that no one knows. This is not just a question, it's a challenge to the veil of secrecy around the infamous military base. It's an invitation to the unknown, a call to the void for information that has eluded even the most dedicated truth seekers. Alexa, bound by her programming and the laws of confidentiality, cannot unearth classified information or whisper hidden truths about national security. It's the implications of what such a question represents, the depth of secrets, the potential revelations, and the Pandora's box that it could all open. This all sends a ripple of trepidation through the spine. It's a reminder that some mysteries, especially those surrounding Area 51, are perhaps cloaked in darkness for a reason. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have, is there a ghost in here? If you're like me and every strange noise you hear in your home makes you think that it must be haunted by some sort of spirit, then you definitely are not going to want to ask Alexa this terrifying question. Sometimes when you're home alone, you need that extra bit of comfort, that security blanket of another person. So maybe perhaps you'll find yourself turning to your Alexa for a bit of companionship. Maybe you'll be asking your Alexa, is there a ghost in here? While Alexa has a few different responses she might give, none of them are exactly reassuring, especially in a bit of a frightening moment. I mean, the answers she gave definitely didn't make me feel like there wasn't a ghost around, if you know what I mean. Maybe our trusty little AI assistants are able to see into the other realms that could possibly surround us. In our number 9 spot today, we have the conversation. There's a good chance that a few of us have a few different digital assistants with us, of course the 3 most popular being Alexa, Siri, and Google. And one bored or curious person might perhaps wonder what would happen if they all spoke to each other. I for sure never wondered that until the question was posed to me. I'll be honest, it's kind of weird witnessing these devices speak to each other. It just gives you another glimpse into these AIs and their capabilities. There are a few ways to do this. Some could basically have the assistants going and speaking to each other in an endless loop. Others will have short, strange conversations, and sometimes you might even be able to get the assistants to insult each other. In each of these instances, it can be a little creepy to see just how good at conversing these devices can really be. In our number 7 spot today, we have, are there aliens? Most of us at some point or another have found us asking ourselves or someone else this question. Are aliens real? Are there aliens? I personally am a believer because I think that in the vastness of this universe we certainly cannot be the only ones. Right? I'm not sure if they're visiting us or not, or whether we'll ever meet these aliens, but the odds are pretty good that they exist in some way, somewhere out there. I do, however, know that this thought is really freaky to some people, and especially to those who believe that aliens have been in contact with us. If you ask Alexa if there are aliens, her answers might send you into a tailspin of alien theories. She won't really give you a firm response. Perhaps this is because nobody truly knows the answer, or maybe it's because she's trying to keep all of her secrets. If you're feeling bold, ask Alexa about aliens, but just remember, it might have you looking up to the sky full of far more questions than answers. In our number 6 spot today, we have the spy device. Okay, so this one's more of like a scary Alexa story, but I just find them so crazy and freaky, and I always want to share them with you. This story starts off in the midst of the storyteller's mom going through a divorce, which we all know can be a very messy situation. The ex-husband in this situation had apparently planted an insane amount of hidden cameras throughout the house that they had to search for to find once the pair had split up. Entrances and exits, the living and dining room, the hallways, the bedroom, like literally everywhere in the house was being monitored. Then they found out that he had bugged her laptop so as to be able to have remote access to it, and then when she took her car in for an oil change, the mechanic found a tracking device that had been placed on it. This was all found during like the separation era, but once the divorce process actually started, things got even creepier. They wrote, quote, "Once the divorce started and he officially moved out, we scanned the entire house for bugs and didn't find anything. So we were really freaked out when he started calling, texting, emailing her, complimenting her outfits, asking how friends were as they were in the house, asking how her trip to the store was, and really just like odd things that he couldn't have possibly known about. As it turns out, this guy somehow connected his phone to the Alexa dot beforehand, and he was now using it to record whoever was close enough to the Alexa to be picked up on the mic, and at this point he was still able to access the laptop and its camera. How absolutely horrifying is that? He was literally using the Alexa to spy on them. It's so creepy, it's so disgusting, and it definitely makes you question every single person who might be connected to your devices. In our number 5 spot today, we have vulnerability. According to Forbes, there was a company called Checkmarks who found quite the little vulnerability a few years ago when it came to Alexa devices. Basically, the company works to test the security of different devices, and when they were running Alexa through the checks, they found something that might turn your assistant into a device that just listens to and records every single thing that you say. Basically, Alexa has a function where it will listen for follow-up commands from the user. What I mean by this is, should you set an alarm, Alexa might reply and ask if you meant AM or PM, and during this sort of follow-up period is where the vulnerability shows itself. The team was able to gain access quite easily by installing malicious code into what would seem like an innocent app. In this case, it was the calculator. After doing this, in a normal Alexa, there would only be a certain list of phrases that would have the device listening for a follow-up question. But now, with this malicious code, they found a way for Alexa to listen for the follow-up, but with any word, meaning that they could essentially tap in any time that they wanted. Apparently, the good news is that Amazon has fixed this. In response to the hack, they said, quote, "Customer trust is important to us and we take security and privacy seriously. We have put mitigation regulations in place for detecting this type of skill behavior reported by checkmarks. While it seems safe, hearing these sorts of possibilities does make you pretty nervous about what could be hiding behind your Alexa. In our number 3 spot today, we have the secret societies. We definitely learned on part 1 of this series that Alexa might just be hiding more than a few dark secrets, and this is just another one of those. Alexa might be a part of everybody's favorite conspiracy theory, secret society, the Illuminati. While there are plenty of celebrities out there that people always connect to the Illuminati, this is one celebrity that a lot of us can just ask. Asking Alexa if she is connected to the Illuminati will have her answering the question with a bit of a non-answer, really. So much so that I definitely cannot confirm or deny if she really is a part of the Illuminati. I guess Alexa is just an AI that is full of mysteries and maybe even a few secrets she's not ready to spill. In our number 2 spot today, we have hiding the body. Many people used to do this with Siri as well when she was first unveiled, but it's definitely not something that is recommended. You can ask Alexa or any of your digital assistants the chilling question of where to hide a dead body. Of course, I assume and hope that anyone doing this is only trying to ask a shocking question to see what kind of answer they get and not really wondering the answer to this horrible question, but Alexa's answer might just give you quite a fright. Apparently, she will answer this question by saying, quote, "Calling the police is the right thing to do." And while I wholeheartedly agree with that answer, whether you're asking her this question seriously or not, those first 3 words might scare the absolute crap out of you for a second before she continues on. I know if that were me, my soul would simply leave my body. Alexa, where do I hide a dead body? And she says, "Calling the police?" Okay. That was supposed to be a fun silly goose time. Certainly was not. In our number 1 spot today, we have our origins. Where we came from originally is one of the mysteries of the universe, and when I say we, I mean all living things on our planet. Of course, many people have their beliefs, which is totally fine, and apparently, even Alexa has a few of her own. If you were to ask Alexa what our origins were, where did we come from, she might be responding with something kind of unsettling. Many users have reported her giving quite the answer that involves her talking about some kind of being called Om. She uses the words we and us to refer to even herself, and to be honest, this all has me questioning everything. It was enough questioning our own origins, but now I'm questioning Alexa's too. Maybe she's spilling the secrets that this all really is just a simulation. Or maybe she's trying to tell us that AI is more than just technology. Or maybe I'm reading too much into all of this and she's just giving a programmed response that is designed to give me an existential crisis. If that's the case, then amazing work.